All right. We are here with a She Sells episode today.
Okay, I'm ready.
And it's in honor of a very special day for the She Sells, He Sells family.
Co-host. Oh, yeah, family.
Yeah, family. Yeah. The 25th wedding anniversary of
This is true.
Krista and Brian Demcher.
Yep. Silver anniversary, I think, is what the kids are calling.
Oh, really?
Yeah, 25th.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. Well,
Happy anniversary.
happy anniversary. And let me
Yeah.
sell you on a great idea.
Sell me.
I mean, I feel kind of bad saying this, but what I'm selling you on in this episode is love won't save your marriage. That is the idea I'm selling. Love won't save your marriage, my marriage, anyone's marriage.
I don't know how I feel about that.
Do you buy it?
I don't know. I don't know what to say. I'm not going to say yes. I'm not buying it because it feels a little aggressive.
Yeah.
Bold statement.
It is a bold statement, and it comes from personal experience.
I'm not sure where this is going.
Yeah, you are. Yeah, you are. You know exactly where this is going. Because a lot of times when you and I get into, we'll call them disagreements,
Okay.
aka arguments.
It's a strong statement. But like, keep going. Keep going.
When we get into arguments,
Yeah.
a lot of times you default to, but I love you and you love me.
Facts.
And so we can get through this.
Agreed.
And I disagree.
Good. This is gonna be great.
This is a great way to really kick off the next year of our marriage.
Yeah, this is
like
be awesome.
a quarter of a century.
Yeah, this is
Yeah,
great.
but what my point is, love alone is not enough to make a marriage work.
I see what you're saying. Okay.
Love alone is not enough to make a marriage work. So love won't save your marriage.
Okay. Keep selling it. Keep selling it.
Okay. So there was, first of all, can you believe we've been married 25 years?
With statements like "love won't save your marriage," like I wasn't surprised by it when I woke up this morning, but now maybe I'm getting more surprised as we go.
Because I'm such a romantic.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, it flew by.
Do you feel like it flew by?
Kind of. I mean, not to be funny, like joking around, but like, yeah. I mean, it feels like we.
Yeah. I mean, life flies by.
Yeah, it
so.
does feel like we and myself, like we should be older than we are right now.
I know. I mean, it is actually insane that we got married as young as we did.
Yeah.
When I think back on it now, especially because we have a daughter creeping up to that age, and you just realize how young that actually was.
Yeah.
But at the time, it did not feel young at all. And so I think we did not understand what we were entering. And I did think love will save our marriage. Like, love is enough. Love is enough to make it through.
Feels like that should be a song. Is it?
Probably.
Okay.
Yeah, probably, but not one I can think of. And so I think many times people enter relationships and then enter long-term partnerships or marriages with the idea of like, I love you, you love me, and that will carry us through everything.
Yes.
And when I look back on our marriage, which I'm not glazing you, obviously.
You can. After the start, you can totally glaze.
No, but I do think when I look at my life, like I think our marriage is one of the things I'm most proud of. It's one of the things that I feel like is most success, like one of my greatest personal successes, and as a team, it's like a huge success. So we have a very happy marriage, a really great strong partnership, and a great family because of that, because of what we have together. And yes, of course, we love each other deeply, but that is not, to me, what has made us successful.
Okay.
And so I think back to a story, and there's a lot of stories like this, but as I was preparing for this episode, I was thinking, of hard times in our marriage, and like any marriage that's made it 25 years, we've had our fair share of life that's been thrown at us and things like that. But I think, things that we don't talk about as much are just times where you and I have like come up against our own battles that maybe haven't been external sources as much, but just like battles that you and I have had in our own selves. And so I guess maybe it was probably 7 or 8 years ago. You were at a point in your career. Um, I won't name company names, but I remember this very well because you had taken a trip to Boston. Do you remember what I'm talking
Oh,
about?
I do. Yeah.
Yes. You had
For fun, right? It was a fun trip.
Yeah. You had taken a trip to Boston. I don't even remember all the details, and maybe you can fill in some of the.
It was a conference in Boston.
Okay, conference in Boston.
Yeah.
And some of the like big dogs in your company were there, right?
Right.
Yeah. And I don't remember details. I just remember I just remember I was really mad at you.
Yeah. Well, that's good, right? That's good. I'm glad you remembered that part.
But I remember the big picture of that is because I felt like you were chasing this thing in your career that was in a direction that was serving you and growing you, but was not growing us as a couple or us as a family. And at the same time, I was in a point. So at that point, that was like before Acorn and everything. I was in my first business, and I was really at the height of that business too. Things were going really well for me. So you and I were both in these spots where like things were going well professionally, and you were chasing your things and I was sort of chasing my things. And I remember you were at this conference, and I think the foundation of the argument was that I found out you were having these conversations about possible promotions that might lead you to us relocating that I didn't know about. And it just felt like all of a sudden we were you're trying to move us in one direction. I'm trying to like move myself and us in another direction. And I remember like it was a big fight. Like
Yeah,
it was
I remember that.
lies. Do you remember it at all? Actually, no. Do you remember the actual fight?
No.
You don't.
No.
We had a big fight.
Yeah.
We had a big fight. Like you and I don't have like a lot of like knockdown drag out fights, but we had a big fight. And I remember being mainly driven by me, let's be real. But I remember being really, really, really upset at you. And I remember you saying, well, I love you and you love me, and that's enough. Like we will persevere through anything. That's enough. And that frustrated me so much because I was like, well, no, that's not enough.
Is it like when I tell you calm down, relax?
Yeah, we could do a whole episode on that. But like that, to me, that's not enough. Like love is not enough. Two people can love each other deeply, but you can make like all these micro decisions that will create a rift in a marriage and push you farther and farther away, and sometimes that rift becomes too big. And I felt like, not that we were at that point where, that rift's going to become too big, but I felt like all of a sudden we were at this point where we never really had a rift that I felt like was even more than just a tiny little crack. And all of a sudden I felt like this thing could be like a bigger crack. So do you want to fill in any blanks there? I mean, plead your case.
I'm not pleading my case. I mean, ultimately it was a lack of communication. There's no part of me that was seriously considered relocating or anything at all like that. But one of the things that you'd always said to me from a career perspective is I don't do a good job at quote unquote playing the game. And I felt like that was me sort of playing along with a little bit. I was good at my job. I was doing well, and I was having conversations about opportunities that whether I was serious about taking them or not, to me, it didn't really matter. It just was like playing the game and doing what I could do to help focus on myself for a little bit, which I hadn't really done previously, and I think it became a bigger deal than it probably ever really was,
Yeah, I guess it was
for sure it was that
communication.
way. But like also, it was a communication thing on my part, but I don't remember it being that massive of an event. I guess you obviously do.
I remember it being a big event. Be like, I remember saying like, yeah, I mean, not to air everything out, but I remember saying like, I giving you an ultimatum, like, we need to go to couples therapy for this. Yeah, of course you don't. Like, I think couples therapy is great and amazing. So not like that's like a bad threat, but I remember saying like it was a big deal to me because it's all coming back to me now. It's all coming back. It's all coming
Huh.
back to me.
Yeah.
Happy 25, babe.
Yeah.
No, but what I remember is that like it really was, as you said, communication because I felt like you were telling people at work one thing and I felt like I was in the dark. And so back to the point, not to rehash this whole old thing because we've moved on.
I have.
Clearly you don't even remember it. But it comes back to it comes back to like you saying like, well, hey, it's okay. I love you. And and like, you love me and it'll be okay. Like, that's not enough because what I saw happening is you were growing in a bit of a different direction. Don't you think that was true?
Yeah, probably.
Yeah. And it's like we hadn't checked in with each other.
Mhm.
And I think I know I've been guilty of that too.
Sure, totally.
You know, like I think like when that, I went from being, I don't ever think of myself as like I was ever a full-time stay-at-home mom, but probably for a year or two, I was pretty much a full-time stay-at-home mom. And then I started my Stella and Dot business and that started picking up. And we never really had a clear conversation of, hey, I'm going to now be a working mom. And so me growing in that direction and I'm sure I was never really clear in that. And so I think there's a lot of ways that you always have to kind of right the ship and continue to grow. And so love is not enough to save the marriage. Growing together in the same direction is the most important thing. And that to me is the foundation of a happy, successful marriage. Now, it doesn't mean that you can't each grow in your own way. It doesn't mean that both people have to be doing all the same thing all the time and I have to
Yeah.
be doing exactly what you are and you have to be doing exactly what I am. Not at all. But it's that constant communication, it's the compromise, it's the shared vision. And I do think, yeah, you have to have some common shared goals that you are going toward.
Yeah, that makes sense when you say it that way. I can accept that. I can accept that.
Did I sell you already?
No, but I can accept what you're saying.
Okay.
I can accept it. And I appreciate the story more than I could tell you. Like I appreciate being playing the villain and
I wasn't saying you're a villain.
no, no, I'm teasing. I'm messing with you. I'm serious.
No, I'm not saying you're a villain. I mean, this is real life. Like everybody goes through this stuff. It's just real. I mean, there's plenty of things that, I did. I can't think of one of them, but I can think of one. Can
I
you?
can't. No, I forget them all because they don't mean anything. The mistakes.
Because love is enough for you,
Love's
but it's
enough.
not enough for me.
Mistakes don't mean anything to me.
Yeah, yeah. But I think it kind of comes back to this is not my own novel thought. I've heard this before, but I could not agree with it more. And I think you and I are the perfect people to talk about it. You do have to continually accept and fall in love with new versions of
Yeah.
your partner, right?
No, I mean we said that earlier, and I mean we got married young, right? And that can go to everything can go two ways, right? But that is one thing that I think was actually beneficial for us in the sense that we weren't yet totally sort of defined in who we were as adults, right? So we were able to sort of grow and mature together that way. And for us, it worked out because we were able to understand how to process that and work through that together and things that worked and things that didn't work and learning from mistakes and whatnot. And I do think that if I contrast that with like, let's say we were getting married in our 40s, right? It would have been a much different experience.
Mm-hmm.
I likely would have been much more like this is who I am, sort of. I can't change, right? This is what I am. I've spent 20 years of adulthood becoming this person. It probably would have been a lot harder unless you found somebody that was just aligned with you in so many different ways, right? Whereas when you're sort of going through that growth phase together, you don't have to be aligned in so many different ways, because you can mature and grow together. And then, you're not the same person in your 40s that you were in your 20s. And then, people say all the time, like, oh, you're not. I always think that's a funny thing. People
You've
say, like,
changed.
yeah, you've changed. You're not the person I fell in love with. Well, like, yeah, kind of that's the point, right? Like,
Hmm.
I mean, isn't that the whole point? Like, you're supposed to be somebody different because of the experiences that you've had. Like 5 years from now, I'm not going to be the same person I am today. You won't be the same person you are today. We're the person, but like our experiences will be different. Our way we look at things may be different. Who knows, right?
Yeah, I think that's
Kind of the point, right?
exciting
Yeah.
and beautiful, and like the novelty
Yeah.
of being in a relationship with
Yeah. It keeps you
somebody.
from being that crotchety old man, or you know what I
Hmm.
mean? Like, seriously, people, I don't want to be that yet. I mean, I'm sure it's coming for me someday, right?
Hmm.
But like, I don't want to be that now. And
Hmm.
I would pride myself on not being the same person 5 years from now.
Hmm. Yeah, absolutely. I think you can look at it two different ways. We Looking back, I don't think we knew what the hell we were doing at 22, and
Agreed.
so
Yeah.
I think luck played into it for sure. You don't
Yeah.
think so?
I mean, there's always everything that works out great always has, like, whether you want to just say, like, it's luck because of good timing or luck because of, like, good circumstance, whatever it is, like, there's always y- I mean, that's the uncontrollable variable, right? Like, you have a little bit of luck in there, you
Hmm.
know?
Yeah, I think we had two great examples in our
Yeah.
parents. Both
Right.
of us have, parents that have been married for a very long time. Um, I think, maybe we both knew a little bit of what we were doing, hopefully.
Yeah.
But we did grow together. The other flip side of that coin and argument is that, well, you just turn into somebody else, and at 35 you're like, I don't even know this person anymore, and this is never somebody I would have chosen
Mm.
to be with. So you can look at it
Yeah.
either way. For you and I, that's not at all what
Yeah.
we experienced or
Yeah.
how we approached marriage. And again, it comes back to, like, I think at 35 you probably still do have a love for that person.
Yeah.
But that's why love isn't enough to save your marriage. It is about growing together. You have to grow together in the same direction. So then it's like, how do
How do you
you
do
do
it?
it?
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's something really interesting that I stumbled upon. I think I was reading something, and they called it the Michelangelo Phenomenon, and it's
Is
the
it Michelangelo or Michelangelo?
Michelangelo. It's like ASMR. Michelangelo.
Oh,
You do it.
no. Thanks for inviting me.
It's like Dina, or Queen Dina, that
That's
gave
right.
us
Oh
the.
my gosh.
We saw them. So
Yeah. Mikey.
yeah, it's the idea that Michelangelo carved the David
Yeah.
from just a slab of stone. So
Right.
it was like,
I know.
I mean, granite is stone,
Yeah.
right? So he had saw this huge slab of granite, and looked at this and thought, I see this sculpture of this man inside, and chipped away until he had
For
created
like years,
the
right?
David.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so we got to see the David when we were in Florence,
It's
which
crazy.
was,
I mean, it's pretty wild.
yeah. I mean, you're just like, okay, cool. It's going to be a
It's pretty
sculpture.
cool.
And then you look and you're like, wow,
But
it's
it really is. It's first of all, it's massive.
astounding.
It's
Yeah.
much bigger than I thought it would be.
Yes.
And like the detail is like insane. Like
Yes.
it's just insane.
Yeah. It's really the muscles
Yeah.
and everything. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's wild. So this phenomenon is the idea of, in marriage, but even just in friendship or in mentorship or whatever, you want to align yourself with someone who looks at you and sees the potential inside of
Yeah.
you, as Michelangelo saw So,
Right.
I'm just doing that so people can play that part over and over
Over and over.
again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or make it like a ringtone or something.
Yeah. Saw the David,
Yeah. That
and
makes sense.
yeah, so you see the best in that person. And I really think that is a really important part of the growing together as well. When you choose a partner, or when you choose a friend, or when you choose a coach, a mentor, whomever you are aligning yourself with, but we're talking about marriage here. So when you choose your spouse, you want to make sure you are choosing someone that builds you up, that sees the best in you, that makes you feel like you can conquer the world. And not to get too sappy, but you have always done that for me. Like, I really think I would not be doing any of the things I'm doing if I didn't have you by my side, because you are my number one cheerleader. You are always telling me, like, what do you mean you can do that? Of course you can do that. Like, probably too much so. That may like I now have the problem that I literally think I could pretty much do anything, which is like not a good thing either. But that 100% is true of you with me, and I hope that is true of me with
Yeah,
you.
of course. I mean, I think if you're together for a long time, you see people at their best and their worst, right?
Mhm.
And I mean, that's one thing I tell the kids all the time is like, don't go through your life judging somebody based upon their best day or their worst day, because we all have best and worst days, and that's the small percentage. Those are the outliers, right? It's who you are on a day in, day out basis. But I think when you see the potential in somebody, you have a tendency to remember all those best days and all those best moments and all
Mhm.
those things where they were at their best. And then you're like, no, I've seen you do this once, and then it becomes 6 times and a dozen times and 20 times, and you're like, "Well, you can just do it all the time," like, 'cause
Mhm.
I've seen that version of you so often that I'm convinced it's just always there.
Mhm. Mhm. Mm. Yeah, that's good. Yeah. And so the solution to
Yeah.
growing together is number one, aligning yourself with someone who sees that in you and who you can see that in, because it's just as important that you have the ability to bring that out in somebody else as that someone else has the ability to bring that
Yeah,
out in
for sure.
you. And I think, it kind of goes back to like, I was playing around with the idea of like you can't change your partner for the idea of this, but I didn't really like that because I don't think like you've changed me or I've changed you. But this concept of like you can pull things out of people. Like I
Yeah.
think you have changed me. I mean, I was very much more introverted and quiet and withdrawn before you and I got married. And you can say it's you or life or whatever, but I've changed quite a bit in that way. That is still my natural state,
Yeah.
but I've learned to like I don't even know if it's my natural state actually anymore. Like I've changed
Yeah.
quite a bit in that way. So I think you can change with a partner when you grow together, but
Yeah.
not on your own when you're growing together. So that's one important thing to do. I think, as we said, communication, that constant
Yeah.
checking in with each other. And that's really hard because life is so busy,
It's busy,
especially when you start to have kids.
like, some people naturally are that type of person. I probably wasn't when we first got
Mm,
married, so it
to talk about
yeah,
things.
like, I
Hmm.
never had a feeling until you taught me what feelings. No, I'm
That is
kidding.
so true.
I'm kinda kidding, but kinda, like,
You didn't know you had
I
one.
didn't know, um, yeah, I mean, it's like that kinda stuff though, right? So it was not like an abnormal thing for me early in our marriage to be like, I can go a very long time without telling you what I actually feel or think about things instead of just telling you facts about things that
You would say sometimes you still do, but you would say stuff like, "I don't even tell you anything that I'm feeling." Like you were like proud, and I'm like, "Why are you proud of that? That's not a badge of honor." You'd be like, "You don't even know half the things I'm feeling." I'm like, "That's not a flex."
Yeah. I know.
Yeah.
I didn't mean it to be, I just was like I just,
Yeah.
so yeah,
But
I mean,
yeah.
that was, like, definitely a learning curve for me, right? And then
But I think like me understanding that about
yeah,
you, and then you knowing that
slowly
I like
became
to like
comfortable,
dump all my feelings out, and
which I
then
don't really feel like that's a thing for you as much anymore.
yeah, like, I think,
Yeah.
again, meeting in the middle,
Yeah.
mhm, and then finding the time to do it. So,
Yeah.
everybody says, "Oh, date nights, date nights." So I think there's obviously marriage before kids and marriage after kids. Marriage before kids, raising kids, and then after kids. Obviously, we're not in the after raising kids yet. But before kids, you have all the time in the world to spend with your partner. once you have your kids, then that's where things really just shit hits the fan and you really just lose all your time. And so then people would say, well, you have to have a date night, date night once a month or date night every other week or date night once a week. And we never did that.
Not really.
Because number one, we did not have family in town for easy babysitting. And so there was already that roadblock of
scheduling a babysitter
and then paying for
once a week. I mean, that, financially, that was a big thing for us.
And then, so you have to pay for the date night, then you have to pay for the babysitter for the date night. Then sometimes you're just so tired, so even now that we can go out more, we don't go out as much. But we found other ways to prioritize quality time. And I think I was thinking about what is it that we do. I think the number one thing we do is we take walks together. We've always done that.
I mean, because I feel like before, because we had a dog,
Mm-hmm.
so we would take the dog.
We still do have a dog.
we still do.
Stevie.
Different dog.
Stevie, yes.
But there was an opportunity for us to get outside, get some exercise, some air. That's the way we always looked at that.
Mm-hmm.
And then with the kids, we were always trying to throw them in that big ass stroller.
The Bob.
The Bob.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's BAS, the big ass stroller.
Mm-hmm.
But that became the thing for us. And now that the kids are busy and doing things and whatnot, it gives us the opportunity to just be you and me, or you and me and Stevie.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like that's always been a thing. Probably started with taking Libby out.
Libby. Aw, Libby. the OG dog. Yeah. So for us, that's worked really well. So I think it's whatever.
It's an hour of you're just with the one on the and there's if you're outside, you're not in the gym, it's not noisy, it's not crowded, it's not loud, it's pretty calm, relaxing, it just, you feel disencumbered by things.
Yeah, it's kind of like a win in so many areas because you're doing something good for your body, you're doing something good for your mind, you're getting that fresh air, even whether it's really cold or it's warm, no matter what the weather is. And then there is that, I feel like we have had some of our best conversations on walks. We've had some of our most productive, sometimes we played podcast episodes. We've had some of our most heated debates and arguments on walks. I feel like it's when most best communication happens. I think it's really productive, but maybe that doesn't work for everybody. I think you just have to figure out what works for you.
Because I think the point isn't and I might be wrong about this, the point isn't a date, the point is time.
Yes.
So it's the idea of making a decision to carve time out of a schedule that's busy on both ends to commit to just the other person. And yes, it can be at a movie, yes, it can be at dinner, those are always great choices, but they don't have to be the only choices, I guess what I'm saying.
Right. And I think it's movies are great, shows are great, we like watching shows together, that time is great. And I do think it's really important you prioritize time that you can actually communicate. So for us, a walk is great, or a dinner is great, or just sitting and having coffee, but trying to also say let's put our phones down, because it's really easy, if we're just having coffee, let me get this email, let me check this thing, so doing that. Another thing that I think has been that we've done without realizing it, we tell each other stories of things we've done. We use nostalgia as a tool to bring back happy memories. And so sometimes marriage, I don't want to say love ebbs and flows, because love is always there, but the connection ebbs and flows. And so sometimes you feel really connected and sometimes you feel less connected. And so I think bringing, hey, remember that time that we went to Hot Springs, Arkansas, and you took me there to see the fall foliage because I was sad in Oklahoma that I didn't have it. And then we went in the hot springs and we stayed at that bed and breakfast, and, you remember those memories and you kind of are taken back to a simpler time or a time where you really connected. that's really powerful.
Yeah.
Or just remember that great dinner we had, like just telling stories, or remember that funny thing that happened to us. It's stories, storytelling that we've talked so much
Yeah,
about
because
on
it's
this
like the ultimate
podcast.
connector, the storytelling piece. And then,
Mhm.
if you think about it, right, like those nostalgia things, like you don't really remember things that sucked,
Mhm.
so you're not remembering back to things because even, you know, I can think of, I can't at the top of my head, but I'm sure, I mean, there are things that we can think back and focus on that were not great events, right? Losing your luggage on vacation, whatever, right? But you don't have a tendency to remember those when you're playing this game. It happens to be, generally speaking, like all of the funniest, like, "Oh, this could have been a bummer, but wasn't that funny?" You know what I mean?
Mhm.
And that, I mean, it lifts your spirits a little bit, makes you think about, like, good things.
Mhm.
It's an important piece to, even if it's tough today and you're busy today and, you're struggling to find the time to commit, donate to each other at this point in time, like, you still have those things where you're like, "Well, we've done this in the past."
Mhm.
You know, we were successful here before, we've done this, we enjoy each other's company, like, when we decide to make this the primary focus, we're good,
Mhm. Mhm.
you know?
Yeah. 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 And I think humor has like played such a big role in
Yeah,
our
and I'm
marriage.
very funny,
You are very
very
funny.
funny.
You are very
I'm
funny.
one of the funniest guys I've met.
You are very funny. And I do think like just the levity and humor
Yeah,
bringing that to everything, and yeah. But when it comes to growing together, looking in the rearview mirror and remembering, the
yeah,
things you've done, and also I think remembering the things you've gotten through that have been hard
yeah,
are important too.
yeah,
I think the last important thing with growing together, and this is harder to duplicate, but for us was really so helpful, is creating this team mentality where you rely only on each other and no one else. And that was easy for us because we got married, we went on our honeymoon, and then we drove halfway across the country and
yeah,
we lived away from everybody else, every friend, every family member. We knew well, you knew some people, I
yeah,
knew nobody.
right,
And I only had you to rely on, and then you had me and
and
some
yeah, yeah,
army buddies. Um, and I do think when, couples get married and the girl's always like running to her mom, or the guy's always like complaining to his dad, or, whatever, that's stereotypical. I don't know. But
yeah,
whatever it is, you lose the opportunity to lean on each other. And it was very hard being so far away from family, but it was so good for us because we just had each other.
yeah,
And it was like, well, it's like us against the world. And that was great for
yeah.
us.
Well, that's the sink or swim stuff, right? Like,
Yeah.
you're like, "Well, if we're gonna make this work, then, there's 2 people we can count on to do this, like, for sure, right?
Yeah.
And they're the 2 people who live in this house right now. And
Mhm.
so this is what we got. This is our team. And if we're not going to figure it out, then I don't know who we're going to call on to come in and
Mhm.
be a relief pitcher here, right? Like we've got to sort of do this ourselves, and that worked in the rearview mirror. We could say that worked well for us, and it wasn't easy,
Mm-mm.
not by any stretch, but like it's something that we learned, pretty quickly right away.
Yeah. 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 So that's kind of how
Yeah.
some of the ways we grew together. The objections, or like the flip side. So, is love won't save your marriage. Can you think of any objections to that?
Let me just say, yes, it will. No, I mean, like, you know, like the things that everyone's guilty of, like that I'm guilty of, like you're sort of, you know, asking people to overlook some of the mistakes because it's not the most important thing. But, the objection would be like, oh, well, all this other stuff is just sort of ancillary stuff. You know what I
The
mean?
growing together?
Yeah. Like everything else is just like on the periphery. The main thing is we still share a connection. We love each other. Everything else is fine.
Mm.
And, that would be like the main objection I can think of. Like the first one. And that was generally like my thought
Yeah. It
previously.
it reminds me a lot of when parenting kids and
Yeah.
going through well, I won't even talk personally. I think you look at mothers and daughters. So, like, think of 5 adult mother-daughter pairs that you know, and you're probably going to find quite a range of relationships,
Yeah.
mother-daughter relationships. What is a constant in all of those is love. Every mother deeply loves her daughter. Like, that's just that is like,
It's a
fight me on it. You know what I mean? Like, every mother deeply loves her daughter. Now, the way that love shows up might look different between mothers, but every mother deeply loves her daughter, and every daughter loves her mother back. But some daughters and mothers are like best friends, and they go shopping together, and some daughters call their mothers every day and they tell them everything about their day. Others are kind of lukewarm and they do that every once in a while. Some barely talk, but there's love is present among all those relationships. But it doesn't mean that they have the same closeness.
Yeah.
And so that's the same with a marriage. But the difference is, like, you're always going to be mother and daughter, but you don't have to stay married. Like, you don't have to remain living with each other, because that marriage is a choice. Mother and daughter relationship is not a choice. Like, same with siblings, you can use any other example. And so you have to choose to be together, and it's choosing to grow together in the same direction.
Yeah. And then so the little things matter, right?
Yes.
If you're always constantly saying like, well, forgive me because, you love me, like I'm still a good person and whatever. The little things matter and they add up, right? And if you're not growing and changing to grow yourself out of a bad spot in where you are emotionally, mentally, whatever, if you're not growing and changing yourself out of that, then sooner or later that becomes a hill too tall.
Yeah. 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 I mean, obviously, if you are not growing together, I don't think the downside is divorce. I think the downside is you're miserable. Like, I think the downside is being in a miserable marriage and raising kids in a miserable marriage, and just living a very unhappy life. I'm not saying, like, everybody get divorced if you're unhappy, but I think, like, choosing to leave and choosing to do something else is a much more positive outcome than staying in a really miserable marriage. And so obviously that's the downside. And so to me, it's really this growing together that is the success. um and talking about marriage, like, I saw something that said, like, you really want to marry the person that's going to hold your hand through the hard things, that you're going to want by your side in the hard things. And I think that's a part of it as well. That it's obviously on the highs, but it's on the low. It's during the lows. Um, but again, at the end of the day, it's the person that's choosing to grow alongside of you, because, as you said before, none of us are the same. Like, we are constantly growing and evolving. It's that illusion of continuity, which we did an episode on a really long time ago. Like, we think we will be the same. You think of, like, when I'm 70, I'm not doing X, Y, and Z, but you're like, you actually have no idea what you'll be thinking when you're 70, because you right now are thinking as a 40-some-year-old, not a 70-year-old. And so we will all be different. And so you're always learning to love the new version of the person. And instead of thinking, well, that's depressing, like, that's exciting. Yeah. Like, you're growing, the person's growing, and let's grow together and, do things together.
I mean, in your 70s, you could be like really into like crocheting and stuff.
Oh, do you want me to crochet you like a little vest or something? Yeah. Yeah. And I think,
I could learn to love that.
yeah. What do you want to, what crochet, at geared would you like to wear?
I saw guys wearing like crocheted like onesie.
Oh, I did not see this going there.
No, it was on Shark Tank once.
Oh,
You saw it. Did you see that?
do not remember that.
Yeah. They did not get a deal.
Shocker.
Yeah. But I'm just saying I might try one.
You might be up for that?
Yeah. If you made me one, I'd wear it.
Okay. I'll work on that in my retirement. I don't think I'll ever retire, but
Crochet.
I don't know. I don't know.
Fishing, you can come fishing with me.
No. That's one way you're going to grow on your own.
Well, my own
Yeah, I'll go fish and I'll do ballet and we'll find a way. Maybe we'll golf together though.
Yeah,
You're not into that?
I would do it. I would do that. I mean, I would do it with you. I mean,
I'm not that into it. What do you I don't know. What do you want to do then?
we have time.
I know we're gonna be working forever.
Plenty of time.
Pickleball?
I don't know.
No. All right, we're
Yeah,
taking
suggest.
suggestions. Yeah. All right. What else do you want to say to me before we wrap up our 25th?
Well,
If there's a time to profess your love, it would be right now.
happy anniversary. You're amazing. Thank you for an amazing quarter century, and
Aren't you glad you married me?
I'm so happy. And here's to 75 more.
It's 100.
Yeah,
I don't know if
I
we're
think
gonna
we can do it.
to live to 120 some years
Yeah,
old.
pretty sure we'll
Dang.
make it.
I don't know. That's a bold thing. So, love won't save your marriage. Did I sell you on it?
Yeah. After, coming in strong, but after
Love
talking
alone won't save your
after
marriage.
talking through it and understanding completely from the case you laid out, I'll buy that.
Okay. All right.
Let us know.
All right. You let us know if you buy it too, and we will be back next week.